podcast for your soul, your compass, your journey, your light. Welcome to Podcast for Your Soul. This is your host, Nico, Balschuweit. And this podcast is for spiritual people who are interested to listen to spiritual teachers from around the world. And it's my desire to connect spiritual cultures from around the world. And today's guest is Bharati Corinna Glanert. And Barati is a spiritual wisdom teacher, and she received her initiation in 2001 when she was given access to sacred and secret Vedic knowledge. And this led her to 10 years intense practice of Sadhana meditation. After being touched by the depths of her own soul, she returned to Germany and founded the Spiritbalance Sadhana Ashram in Sasbachwalden, which is in the beautiful Black Forest. And she offers many things. So, for example, one is a Darkroom retreat. That's also the way we connect. And I will share later more about my experience in the Darkroom retreat. She's doing Astral projection workshops. She's also specialized in opening the third eye and the heart. And Bharati shares also the power of the mantra chanting, which I thought was profound when I saw this in her ashram. And she is a tour guide. She's doing spiritual journeys to India, where she introduces participants to real sadhus and yogis. So it's a real adventure if you as a listener out there are interested to go for the first time and have some guidance and meet real yogis, then that would be a way to go. So, Barati, I'm thrilled to have you on my show, and I welcome you from my heart.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Yeah, such a pleasure to have you. Yes, so how did we come up with this interview? So what happened is, last week, I had a Darkroom retreat in Bharati's ashram. Bharati was not there, so we see each other for the first time, now here live. But I was so touched and had such a tremendous experience in this retreat that I reached out, and Bharati agreed to do this interview with me, and we share about this and all her work. Beautiful. So there's so many things to cover. Maybe the first thing which I'm interested, people might be interested, can you share with us what is sadhana meditation?
Mm-hmm. Sadhana is actually means that you're doing something for your soul. Sadhana means you repeating, for example, mantras, or you're doing karma yoga, or you're doing bhajans, or you're doing facility work. You're doing something to go closer to God, but in a really intense way. So normally when we are, in the West, we meditate maybe half an hour or hour. So if you do a sadhana way, it's always very intense. Like, for example, meditating for 10 hours, 8 hours. So there are different paths, there are many different ways, but sadhana is the main word for doing spiritual intense exercise, let's say like this.
That makes very clear, because I have, let's see, 1 second, I need to share my screen here. Yeah, there is one thing which I have, this is from your retreat center, where you do like a Hanuman Chalisa prayers and mantras, and then it says you do this 108 times. I love the Hanuman Chalisa, it's very long, but so I guess this takes at least 10 hours, or doesn't it?
Yes. In the beginning, my first 108 times took me like 14 hours around.
Wow.
Now I'm by 8.5 hours around. And so it goes faster and faster as much you getting that energy. And we're doing that, I think, 6 or 7 years already. Or no longer. No, I'm doing like 9 years. No, 9 years I'm doing Hanuman Chalisa twice a year. For 108 times. And I came there to Hanuman, for example, in a time in my life where I faced some negativity, and I heard Hanuman is a very protective vibration and very, very high justice, you know, very divine light soul. And I was listening to the Chalisa all the time. Also in my first darkness retreat I listened to that all the time. And then I could feel the energy. And since then I'm doing that twice a year.
That's beautiful. I'm also very close and connected to Lord Hanumana.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. We have a statue here, which was made in Germany based on an Indian picture. So it's handmade. It was made for me, and I used to take also the Hanuman Chalisa a lot. And it's just this, as you say, this protection, where he's the servant of Lord Rama and Sri Sita. And the whole mystic behind it is so beautiful. And there's this one picture, I think, when I fell in love with Sri Hanumana, is when he was asked, what is in your heart? And he opened his heart, and there was only Sri Rama and Sri Sita. And it was so for commitment in love and serving. Yeah, so yeah. And of course, I love monkeys. So yeah. So
now I have to say, now I'm really surprised, because not many people know about the power of Hanuman. So I didn't know that from you. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, and it's the same with my wife. Yeah. So when I returned and I showed her many things, I had a gift for her and so on. And then she saw this brochure about Hanuman Chalisa. She said, "Oh, I would be interested." And I said, "Yeah, me too." So maybe one day we will come.
Yes, nice.
So that's beautiful. Yes, we have a saying here at home: is if we need to achieve a lot in one day, then we say, "Oh, today I need a Hanumana factor."
That's a good one.
Yeah, because he removes all the obstacles, and that's beautiful. Yeah.
And also our ego, you know, he's connected to the air element, and that the 5 elements is an element of the monkey mind, you know, the mind is always wandering. And when we open that up, we getting not just to surrender and opening the heart, but also our thoughts come down and we get more focus.
Yeah, he tickles the ego quite a lot. Yeah, that's beautiful. So so what happens usually with participants? Let's say you have participants who do this for the first time. Is it a big challenge for them to do this longer than 10 hours, or do you have breaks in between, or what is the process of that?
Yeah. So yeah, it's challenging. And I always say, please relax. If people comes for the first time, they read the Chalisa. Of course, they want to do it right. And I always say, also close your eyes in between, relax, feel the energy. And there are some musicians, and we never know, you know, who's Hanuman bringing. So we organize that like other people organized before. We always feel like, okay, let's see who comes with the guitar. If nobody comes, or also Chalisas, I had to chant all the time with my husband, and I just switched. And so normally there's enough people to hold that energy, but of course the people who chant all the time, who know the Chalisa, for them it's also intense. Same time, if you finish the 108 times, after that the energy is also so amazing. So after the 108 times we do a 1 hour of silence, so we don't make any break in between. So you can leave the room for going to toilet or drinking a smoothie, but we don't make a real break. So we keep up the energy, and there's always some people in the room drumming and singing, and and that it's amazing. When you go out to drink a smoothie, you still hear that, and that is really, really beautiful. Especially when you come in silence, then you still hear that, you know, you still hear the vibration. Sometimes can go on for days, and you have a real different energy in your. I have one person, he comes almost every time to the Hanuman Chalisa, and he says every time he comes for the 108 times, he feels like 3 to 5 months, he feels like you know, energized.
Yes, yeah. I mean, this is an intense way to do puja, right? And so I did it also a lot, but not for such a long duration. And I can imagine also what we did. I used to do a lot of havans, like fire ceremony, and Hanuman Chalisa or Rama Kavach. And then there is this point where there is no thought anymore.
Right.
Then you become the prayer.
Right.
And then it's almost like you worship this entity and this divine presence within yourself,
Right.
and then you're in the flow, and this is just
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I chant every night the Chalisa as well, 1 to 5 times, depends
Wow.
how much I love to do that, in our temple room downstairs. And if I don't do it, I start to miss it.
Yeah.
So it's really in a beautiful attachment now.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, it's very empowering. I'm just read the biography of Tina Turner.
Oh.
And because I was in a musical in Hamburg, when I was just blown away by that. And then when I was reading the book, she said she had a very, very tough life.
Okay.
And when it was the toughest you can imagine, where she was completely poor, she chanted every day, in the morning 2 hours and in the night 2 hours. And just singing, chanting. And basically that was her survival mechanism. But then that she did it for survival. But what happened is that she became so in tune also with her presence and soul that she, I think she said that was the key, which helped to be available for the audience and to give that back.
Beautiful. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know it either. It's just when I just heard it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I felt too. I was at a time in my life where I felt something's falling apart. I didn't feel well. And when I chanted and listened, even to just listen, things changed. Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you. So there's this other fascinating topic. So you are worldwide known as an expert for facilitating darkroom retreats.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you learn about this, and how did this come to you? And
yeah, actually, that is very interesting. I was not planning to do that. This is how life worked. I lived in India for so long. And when I came back to Germany, my father had a cancer. So I felt, okay, now it's a time to be around in Germany a little bit. And I felt, okay, before I knew he had a cancer, before I knew I started to be here, I did my own darkness retreat. Because before in India, I was meditating a lot, but there was always some light, it was, even if you do 10 hours, 12 hours of mantra chanting, you are in the light and the mind goes on and, you see the people. And so I felt, okay, I really want to do a darkness retreat. And I went inside, and actually what I wanted to do is I wanted to do sadhana. I felt, oh yeah, now I have some time for sadhana. And it didn't happen because I was so tired. I don't know, my melatonin was just like wanting to come out, and I was sleeping and I thought, okay, let me sleep for 2-3 days, and then I do the practice, which is very unusual for me because I had a lot of very, very high level of discipline. And I don't know, when I really relaxed, I had huge experiences all of a sudden. Astral projection, I saw things in my third eye, I saw, amazing things. I connected with my consciousness to higher levels, and I felt like, what? This is just happening after 3 days. Normally I have to meditate for that state for 10 years or something. And there the first thought came, oh, okay, maybe that's something I want to include, and not just to teach, but to be able to give the people experiences, because that's in my heart. I want to help people to get the experiences and not just talk about it. And then my father got a cancer. Actually, that was also interesting. In the darkness retreat, my father didn't have a diagnosis yet, and we didn't know, and I didn't know. And his soul came to me. I saw him like a mist appearing in front of me, and he said, I should be not sad. In his lung, in the left side lung, is like this size of cancer, and he will not survive that. But I should be strong for my mother. And he knew that in his soul. Can you imagine? We didn't have we had no clue. We even didn't have an idea. Then when I came out of the darkness retreat, that happens, and the diagnosis came, and exactly on the picture, X-ray, thank you, they found exactly that size of tumor. But my father in the mind was shocked. That was an interesting experience. In his soul he knew, but in his mind and was not able to get that. So at that time I felt, okay, let me be in Germany. Now it's not good to go back to India. And then I felt, what should I do? Because they told him he will only have 1 month to live. And a yogi in India said, don't worry, I will help you. Because my mother and my father said, we don't really believe in spirituality, but now is the time to prove if you can help to prolong that. But my father was not, he didn't want it to change. He didn't want it to chase his food, he still smoked his cigarette. But at least a yogi did some yantra for him, and we gave him some herbs, and he lived over a year, so that was still good. And he went without pain, with a smile in his face. It was beautiful. It was really divine. It was really blessed. So at that time, I started to think, okay, what to do? And I felt, okay, let me find a place where I also have another room for, putting somebody in darkness if they want to do some sadhana, let's say, in the Indian terms. And this is how it started. And now it's in between. I moved now 2 times. Now it's 8 rooms I have. I started with that 1 room. Yeah.
Wow.
That's how it happened.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I think it's just such a profound experience. So it's interesting how it came to me. And my listeners who listen regularly, they know this, because in episode 10, I had a lady, her name is Devi Ratna Jewel, and she communicates to the spirit of the dolphins and the whales. So when I asked her, so when did you learn about this gift? Then she said, okay, she went to a dark retreat in Mexico for 11 days. And after a week, all of a sudden, the spirit of the dolphin came, and they told her exactly what to do in order to rescue the dolphins and the species, which she's doing now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. And then I was like, wow, this is interesting. And then my soul was resonating so strong that I thought, okay, I would love to do this. Yeah. But I didn't want to go to Mexico, and I found something in Greece, and then I looked in Germany, and then I found your retreat center, and immediately I loved it. I loved everything on the website of what you do. And then I ordered the free book. So thank you. So for the listeners who are interested to go into the Darkroom retreat, you can order a free book in German language.
And also in English. It's also
it's in English. Even better.
I just didn't put it in yet, but it's also available in English, and I have the copies here as well.
Yeah. And what I found really amazing in this book is basically a collection of people who share their experience from the Darkroom retreat, and it's completely authentic. Yes. It's not hallelujah, everyone is fantastic. No, there are people struggling, there are people who didn't like it, but then the majority, they had an amazing experience. Right. So that was happening. Then it's just my soul told me, you need to go. Yeah. And then I was trying to schedule when do I do this? And it's so difficult. And I tried to get something, but I'm traveling a lot. So I had to deliver a training in Russia, in Moscow. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, of course, the training was canceled, and I had nothing else in my agenda during that time. So then I wrote an email to you, and you had a room available, and I just went for it. And it was, for me, it was fascinating, because I went there. I love the ashram. So it's a big ashram with a seminar room, with a temple, a great kitchen, fantastic power foods. And then there are the setting of these dark rooms. So, and then I'm in the dark room, and I had this revelation about, I sit down in the first 10 minutes. It's almost like, yes, I did it. It was not a thought anymore. Whatever happens, that's fine. But I'm here, and I do it. The next thing what happened is, exactly as you said with the melancholy, I felt that there was such a rush of adrenaline dropping out of my body, where I was like, oh my God. And then I realized how it is. No one can reach you. Obviously, I turned my phones in. It's dark. I don't have an agenda. I don't need to do anything, because I'm taken care of. I get this beautiful smoothies and everything. And then there's nothing to do and nowhere to go. And I'm just with myself and my soul. And then I realized how much pressure I have on a day-to-day life. Wow. I wasn't aware of that. But that immediately dropped. And then what happened in the first night, I was awake. All of a sudden, the spirit of my wife came. So she was in the room, And then I could see her, but apparently she couldn't see me. And she said, is it okay to be here? But I couldn't talk because I'm in a silent retreat. So I couldn't talk. And I didn't want to be touched. So I just internally, I said, it's all good. It's just my process and I'm fine. And then all of a sudden she said, yeah, looks like you're fine. And she disappeared.
So she wanted to check on you.
Yeah, she wanted to check on me. Yes, of course. Yeah. Now what is now comes a fascinating thing. That was her spirit. Now, when I came back, she told me that after the first night, she was not allowed to give any thought to me. No blessings, no nothing. Yeah. And then I said, yeah, you've been there. Yeah, she said she sensed something, but it's almost like it's my process. It's exactly, that's what I said to her in the darkroom, in my mind. That's what she said to me. I was giving the information. It's your process and it's sacred and I need to honor that. It's your space. And I went, wow, I mean, this is how spirit communicates, right? And then, for me, I found it easy because I had this time to meditate a lot and I did a little bit yoga, some stretching also, and I found it very purifying. And I had 3 times the same vision. And the vision was, so I look at the ceiling and then there is a hole opening. And it opens wide and I peek through the hole and then I see the universe and the stars. And then it goes wider and wider and all of a sudden I'm in the universe. And it's almost like watching cinema. And I was like, wow. And I said, but it's dark here. What's happening? Is it? And then it's the first time, of course, thought kicked in. And I thought maybe it is some projection of my mind. But I said, anyway, I enjoy it as long as it lasts. So, and I could really take a look at the universe. Okay. And this happened 3 times. So, but at the 3rd time, I just know, okay, this is something different. It's just spirit seeing. Yes. And only after 3 days, or the 4th day actually, that was, yeah. So that was a beautiful experience. But then I become emotional. Because what happened, of course, when I was picked up and I was guided outside. So for the listeners, the way it works is basically you are asked if you're ready to go back into the light. Then you have blindfolds on and someone is guiding you outside. And then they created a nice seat outside on your terrace. Yeah. And we went there. Then I had someone greeting me. I think that was Shanti the cat. Shakti.
Hi, yeah.
Shakti. Shakti, yeah. And she went with me all the time. So around me, that felt somehow nice, yeah. And so I was sitting there. What I also like is the way you just respect the room of the people, right? Because then I was, here's some water, we leave you alone and take as much time as you want to.
Yes.
You know? And then I was sitting there and I became already emotional because I could smell the air, I could hear more and the breeze of the wind, and that was already special. And then I had the blindfolds on, but I opened the eyes inside with the blindfold on. And then there was a little light coming in to the blindfold, just a little light. I tell you, that moment, I had to make namaskar to Mother Earth.
Wow.
I mean, it's just, there was such a gratitude, and it's still up, it was a week ago, so it's still up today, my gratitude for Mother Earth and for the trees, for the colors, for the nature, is a total different level. Yeah, when I go for a walk now, which I do every day since I'm back, because I just want to embrace that, and I didn't see it before, the liveliness of the trees, of the grass, of everything. Yeah. So then, tears were running already. And then I took the blindfolds off, but I closed my eyes. Yeah? And it was like really as like the sun would be in my 3rd eye. It's so, and later I recognized it was not even, it was sunny, but also cloudy. So it was not that there was full sun, but my experience was, it's just almost, I can't look at it. It's so, wow, yeah, so strong. Yeah. And then, yeah, I opened my eyes and I saw a different world. So there are so many shades of green, so not shades of gray, shades of green in the forest, in the Black Forest, but also in Germany, here also. And I have this, if I look from my balcony, but to be honest, I never realized that. Yeah. But there you see, I mean, hundreds of different green colors and different trees, and everything is alive. And I was like, I was really in awe and wonder of this auric field of Mother Nature.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for that experience. It was just beautiful, and that was also where immediately I had this longing to connect with you and to learn more about that.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Not everybody has this beautiful experience. It really depends on which level you are already and your path. But those who have that, they fall in love with what we have, and this unconditional love, is flowing and opening our hearts, and it's really amazing. Yeah. I also had similar experience coming in the light, and I was thinking, how can that be that we are not realizing all that beauty normally which is around us? That is that is a part of enlightenment, that sometimes going outside can be even stronger than experiences inside the darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I went back inside, and Sabine gave my phones back to me. Okay, and there was a little bit dark, and I switched on my phones. I could not believe how bright they are. How bright. I mean, it's just, what, really? And I use it for years, all the time. I'm on this mobile phone, and I couldn't look at it. And then there is this, my daughter then told me, there's this night shift, but you can do it all the time as well. So now I have my phones on the night shift mode, which takes something blue light out of it, which doesn't make it so aggressive, much better. But then I also realized the reason why I didn't see was I'm so overloaded with social media, email, TV, and everything what's happening around.
Right.
It takes the vision away, the real vision.
Right.
Yeah. So all my gratitude goes to you and also to the retreat center, because the people there are so caring. It's beautiful, power food. And what is also interesting, you don't need a lot of food there. Because initially I thought, I take raw food 3 times a day. But then Sabine said, usually people change to smoothies, which I had in the morning and in the evening. And only during lunch I had raw food, which was amazing. But then I realized I could do it easily with smoothies only. Yeah. Right. So that's also a process of detoxing, right? Which is also, So I also lost 2.5 kg. So if someone is interested in losing some weight, that's also one opportunity. Yeah. But it's I understand also it's not for everyone. So my older daughter also talked to me, and she said initially, well, why do you torture yourself? Yeah. So and she said initially she wouldn't do it, but then when I did it and we talked later, she said also during the time I was in the retreat, she researched about that, and she learned more. And now then she said, you know what? Now I'm also a bit curious. Yeah. So let's see. But so again, for every listener, you can order a book for free with all this experience from people. You can tune in for yourself. There is also, you have like a trial for 2.5 days. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So we don't recommend it so much. So only if you really, if you still have a lot of fear, or you feel not sure, because the DMT comes out mostly after 3 to 5 days through the melatonin, which is produced in the pineal gland. To say very quickly, I mean, there are a lot of processes, but so that starts after 3 to 5 days, and then you really go deep and you start to see the lights and things. But that's why I recommend always a longer retreat. But if you're not sure and you want to try it out, it's possible to come for 2.5 days.
And then there is also the option which you offer that you can have a person coming to you once a day to share or whatever is moving through you, and then it's you or someone else holding space and supporting that person, right?
Yeah. And we are very picky who we send in. We do also, how you say in English, Ausbildung. We do trainings for people, we bring them in. And we have a team, and that's Sabine, Maria, my husband, or me right now. There might be more people coming in the future, but right now this is the team. And yeah, that is also recommended in case if that triggers in the beginning some fear. There are some people who feel, wow, darkness retreat, let me go in, that's great, then you can also try a silent retreat. But if you feel already nervous and you know that your mind is strong, if you don't have so much meditation experience, this talking helps, because we don't have any plan or any structure, or we just be there and be holding the space and reflecting what is, and try to lift the energy, lift up from the mind, connect to the soul. And that is always very surprising and beautiful what happens. And it's important to sometimes laugh about negative stuff that comes out and heal, and not take everything so serious. So sometimes the talking really helps to lift it up. And I always say you have to feel it inside you. If you feel, I want to be in silence, I don't want to talk, then you should do silence. If you feel, oh, I don't know, this is okay, then it's better to do with the talking. Or if you have some people have even a subject which they come in, or something where they feel they want to work on, and that might even change. I had people coming in with, oh, I'm looking for another job, what should I do, what's my life purpose? And then next day it was there and something else popped up. You never know. But if you feel it's good to talk, then you should do that. And we also have groups. So when I do the groups, that's also different dynamic. Everybody has their own room, but 2 to 3 times a day I meet with them. On Monday I start an Astral protection group, and so we do techniques together and talk together and train lucid dreamings, and go also into some techniques and working with blockages. So they have a completely different dynamic also.
Oh, okay. Thanks for sharing. I misunderstood that. So that means for the majority of the time, I would have my own room.
Right.
And then you do something collective, but still in the dark, right?
Right. There's one group room, which is completely dark also. And then I share with, I meet with everybody. If you want, sometimes I have groups where it has 4 to 5 people or 6 people. And then I ring a bell and only a few people come out, like, for example, 6 people are in the group, but only 3 people come out. And, it's not you don't have to, sometimes even in the group, you might feel, oh, today I need a silent day. But also in the group, a lot of beautiful energy can build up, especially I do the healing group once a year. And in the last healing group, for example, they didn't know each other before. They had no clue. It was 3 people, 2 men and 1 woman. And had no clue, but they all had the same childhood experience, traumatic, but really the same story. I mean, how many million of people or billion of people we have on the planet, and this 3, it was like the same story, but 2 male and 1 female, and by sharing their story, so much healing happened and so much uplifting. It was amazing. After they went out together in the light, they were friends. It was amazing.
I can echo that all the time. I mean, that's how spirit works. So a couple of days ago, Petra facilitated a healing circle in the Lighthouse, which is our workshop center. It was just a 2-hour workshop, and then people come with whatever they want to work on, and then she facilitates some healing techniques where we give blessings to one person in the center. And again, as you just said, the 4 people had really the same issue.
See.
And then they understood each other, and I think that created a total different soul resonance altogether. Yeah. So
I even have that in, when I do single retreats with single talking. Sometimes I have 4 or 5 retreats, and they don't know each other, and they don't know what I talk in each room. And even there are some energy field creating, and those people are somehow connected. Their stories are somehow connected. It's very magic.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, awesome.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste. Podcast for your soul, your compass, your journey, your light.